Welcome back. We are talking about Chapter 5 graphs, dealing with Lesson 1, the coordinate plane. So this is the guided practice. So we just discussed a lot of concepts, and now I want to give you time to practice those and then get feedback. So for these 1, 2, 3, and 4, all you're doing is identifying the quadrant of each point. Okay, so what I want you to do is go ahead and pause, work out those problems. When you get done, press play, and we'll go over the answers. All right, see you in a bit. All right, if you remember, we're talking about the coordinate plane. The quadrants are in 4 sections. This would be quadrant 1. This is quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Okay, and they go in this direction here. So A would be right here, and A is in quadrant 1. So we're going to say quadrant 1. If you got that one right, perfecto. B is right here, which would be in quadrant 1, 2, 3. C is right here, which is in quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. And finally, D would be right here, which is in quadrant 1, 2. So if you got all of those right, great job. Let's move on to the next section. Okay, so for this section, we're going to be plotting points. There's a variety of points. We have 5 through 10. I'm going to go ahead and do the first 2 together, and then I want you to do 7, 8, 9, 10 on your own. So for 5, this is the X, this is the Y. Remember, it's a ordered pair. So the X part is 0. So that's on the X-axis. X being 0 is right here. This is when X is 0. And then the Y is 3, so it's positive, so we're going to go up in a positive direction. 1, 2, 3. So that ordered pair would be right here. Okay? This is 0, 3. And we could just say, you know, I guess there's not a letter. Let's just call it 5 for problem number 5, okay? I'll put a little box around it or something like that. Let's go on to problem 6. 6, this is the X, this is the Y. 6 for the X part is now -2, so we have to go to the X-axis and find where X is -2. Well, this is where X is 0, -1, -2 is here. And then from here, the Y part is a positive 4. So we're going to go in the positive direction up. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is the ordered pair, -2, 4. And we're going to call that 6. And I'm just going to put a box around it like that. Okay? So now I want you to go ahead and finish 7, 8, 9, 10 on your own. So go ahead and pause. There's my friend, the pause dragon. And then when you get done with those, go ahead and press play and we'll talk about results. All right, see you in a bit. See you in a bit. All right, we're back. Let's go ahead and see how you did on 7. This is the X, this is the Y. The X part is 5, so we're going to go to the X-axis and we're going to go over 5, which is in the positive direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be right here. And then the Y is 1, so we're going to go, it's positive, so we're going to go up. We're going to go up 1. So right here, that would be 7, 5, 1. Put a little box around 7. Perfect. Let's go ahead and do 8. This is the X, this is the Y. The X is going to be -4, so on the X-axis, we're going to go in the negative direction, which would be this way. -1, -2, -3, -4. The Y part is -3, so that means we're going to be going down 3. 1, 2, 3, right here. So this would be the point. -4, -3, and this is the point 8. All right. Now let's move on to 9. 9 is 3, -2. This is the X, this is the Y. So the first thing, we're going to find the X-axis when X is a positive 3. Positive numbers are this way on the X-axis. 1, 2, 3, which means we'd be right here. Now the Y is -2, so negative, we would be moving down 2 units. 1, 2. and that's where we would place that particular point. 3, -2, and this is 0.9. All right. Let's work on the last one, 10. So 10, this is the x, this is the y. The x is -3, so we're going to find the x-axis and go to the negative direction, which is this way. -1, -2, -3 is right here. And then the y part is a -1, so that means we would be going down 1 unit, which would be right here. And that would be the point, -3, -1, and we're going to call this one 10 for problem number 10. Okay, if you got all those right, great job. And we're going to turn over your paper, and we're going to go on to the next couple problems. So for these ones, we're going to be giving the coordinates of each point using this coordinate plane right here. I'm going to do the first two together, okay? So if we look at J, let's start with J. We're going to go, we know that every point has an X and a Y. Okay, so first for J, we're going to try to go down and meet the x-axis, and we meet it at -4 there. So we know that the x part is -4 for J, and then we're going to go over to the y part, meet the y-axis, and we would meet the y-axis at when y is a +1. This is 0. We're going the positive numbers. That's 1. So that would be the point. -4, 1. Okay, let's go on to K. K has an X and a Y. Again, we're going to find K. K is right here. So the X part of K, if we go directly up to the X-axis, that is at when X is on the X-axis. This is the positive numbers. These are the negative numbers. Right here is when X is 0. So X would be 0. And then the y part with K, it's right on the y-axis. So the y, it tells you right there, it's -2. So that's how you'd write the coordinate for that particular point. All right, so now I want you to go ahead and try the rest of these on your own. So there's our friend the pause, reminding you to pause your device. When you get done with those, go ahead and press play and we'll talk about your results. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, we are back. Let's go ahead and talk about L. L has an X and it has a Y. The X part, if we go directly to the X-axis here, is where X is -1, -2, and -3. So the X part would be -3. We want to find the Y part. We're going to go to the Y-axis, which would be, this is where Y is 0, -1, -2, -3. So the Y part would be -3 as well. So if you got that one right for L, great job. Let's move on to M. M is located right here. M has an X and it has a Y. So if we want to go down and figure out what the X part, we have to go down to the X-axis, which would be right here, and it's the positive. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The X part would be 5. Then we have to find the Y part, so we have to go from M to the Y-axis, which is right here at when Y is 2. So that would be the point for M. Let's go ahead and move on to M. Oh no, we just did M. N. We're going to do N. Where's N? Where are you? Where are you? There you are. Okay, so first we have to find the X part. Well, for every point there's an X and there's a Y. So for N, the X part, we go directly up to the X-axis, and we're right here, which is 1, 2, 3, +3. And then Y for N, we have to go to the Y-axis, which is right there, and the Y part would be, for N, is -4. So that's our ordered pair for N, 3, -4. Okay, let's go on to P. Now for P, it's a point that needs an X and a Y. So right here. The P is already on the X-axis. It is at 4. So that is our X part. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's on the X-axis. So 4, comma. The Y part, we'd have to go over to the Y-axis, and we meet the Y-axis right here when Y is 0. So the point would be 4, comma 0. Okay, let's move on to the next one, R. We need an X and a Y for R. Okay, and if we are going to figure out what the X part is, we have to go up to the X axis, which would be right here. And that is when R is, this is 0, when the X is 1, 2. So the X is 2. And then the Y, we are at R and we move over, that's when R is -1. So there you go. There's the point. Let's move on to our last one, S. And S has an X and it has a Y. Where is S? Here's S. So the first thing we're going to determine is the X value. We're going to go straight down to the X axis, and it meets it right there, and that is when X is, this is 0, that would be -1. So the X coordinate is -1. Then now we just need to figure out what the Y coordinate is. We're going to go to the Y axis, and you can see it is 4, +4. So those are the coordinates for the point S. So if you got all those right, great job, and we will see you next time.